it's high
Oh,
high time we introduce our next guest. It's Duncan, I think, from Arrowheads Abroad. How you doing, man?
Oh, how you doing?
hey, hey.
How are you? How's things?
Yeah, grand, thanks. Glad that seems to have nipped through at quite a pace. It's
It
you know,
has. It's gone very quickly. Why don't you tell us a bit about yourself, Duncan?
uh, yeah. So Chiefs fan since uh, mid '90s. When when it first came on Channel 4 over here. Um, Joe Montana joining the Chiefs was a big story. So I think they must have been the first game that was on with the highlights or whatever. So
Mm.
that was a good reason as any to pick the team. So um, that's when I became a fan. I guess probably lapsed for a long time, kind of from afar, and then just in the last, I guess maybe even since I went to the you guys might not like this. I went to the Lions Falcons game,
hmm
Wembley. Is that 2014? I think.
2014, yeah.
Yeah, and I kind of just kind of got back into to watching properly from there. Obviously, Chiefs came over the year after that, and it's just kind of snowballed, I guess.
Yeah, that I went to both of those games. Chiefs Lions was not one of my favourite games I've ever seen.
Yeah, I can imagine.
What's what's been the highlight of your fandom so far? Has it been, I guess, in recent times with Mahomes and whatever? Or have you got an older memory that sticks with you?
No, I mean I've never. I'm kind of what would you call me? Like the Game Pass generation of fan, I guess. So I've kind of only really been watching the games regularly, um, but like say the last sort of 4 or 5 years. I would say. So yeah, I mean I'm sort of the ones that obviously there's a Super Bowl's the most recent memory. Going to Wembley to see them was awesome. I went over to Kansas City a couple of years ago as well. Terrible game. We were 2-0 down at one point against the Steelers. It was an awful game. But yeah, I mean it's just um, I don't think that when you kind of start following the team and we go through seasons where you know we went through some like 12 games where a wide receiver didn't even catch a touchdown. You don't think that you don't think you're going to get to where we are now.
Mm.
How was your trip to Arrowhead? Because it's meant to be like an amazing place to watch football.
Yeah, I mean I mean I had never quite grasped just how I don't know if I've not been to other NFL cities, but I hadn't quite grasped just how important it is to the city. You know, if you go around here for our football, like a man of my age doesn't wear a football strip anywhere except if you're playing five-a-side or something, right? But over there, everyone is wearing Chiefs gear. There was a shed load of Steelers fans in as well as sort of away support. So they had their jerseys on all over the town as well. You know, all the shops are red. The buses have got Chiefs stuff on them. It's just I hadn't quite grasped just how important it was. It's kind of like the identity of the town, I guess, during football season. By that point, baseball had finished. Also got the Royals as well. I hadn't quite grasped that, so it's kind of that kind of took me by surprise a little bit. And then like tailgating at Arrowhead is just I don't have a comparison point, but it's just it's like something out of a film. I mean, genuinely, it's just a car park with tens of thousands of people in it, smoke from barbecues everywhere. Um, I went on my own, um, just wandered about with a kilt on and a few beers in my hand, just chatted to whoever would chat back. It was a really great experience.
It must have been like a massive adventure, like just going on your own.
Yeah, I mean, it was something like 21 hours, I think, door to door. I had to get 3 flights. Um,
Oh my God.
well, we Kansas City, you draw a cross over America. Kansas City is basically where the points cross. It's right in the middle of America, and it doesn't have an international airport. So I think I was like Edinburgh, New York, Washington, then out to Kansas City. So Yeah, I mean, just getting there is a trek in itself.
What do you think of the draft so far? You've taken Kyle Trask, right? No, that's not Kyle Trask. Who did you take?
Creed Humphrey.
Creed Humphrey.
Yeah,
That's an amazing pick, right?
Yeah, I think that it's not a particularly sexy pick. I don't think a centre and a linebacker. They're maybe not very eye catching and probably kind of caught us off guard. I guess going into the draft, we probably expected a defensive end and a wide receiver, maybe a corner would probably been 3 top positions. Kind of given the work that we've done on sort of revamping the O line in sort of free agency. So maybe take you slightly by surprise, but I think that perhaps the sort of slow and steady type picks are maybe the ones which are most effective in the long run.
How do you feel the rest of your division is doing as well?
The Broncos are doing some stuff I don't know. I think that yesterday, obviously there was, this time yesterday we were all refreshing Twitter looking to see where Aaron Rodgers was going, and my guess is that yesterday they genuinely thought they were going to get him. I can't quite see why they wouldn't have taken a quarterback. I don't think that Bridgewater or Drew Lock are the answer. Maybe they are. Maybe I don't know. That'd be my guess from yesterday. That seemed odd. The Raiders always do weird things on draft day.
Yep.
They
didn't disappoint this either.
No, not the slightest. But if you'd probably flipped the two Raiders picks whose names escape me now, you probably wouldn't have been that.
Leatherwood was one.
Yeah, Leatherwood. Yeah, sorry. You might not have been so surprised. So maybe they've come out okay. And I think the Chargers are doing. So they're showing some worrying competency, shall we say?
I think Chargers are the sneaky winners of the draft so far. They've just let the ball fall to them, and they've picked good players. Yeah, they've got a lot of value, I think, and they kind of did. They got themselves a good centre as well, I think, in free agency. So they're probably they're building from a kind of position of strength as well. I think that Herbert probably didn't get as many wins as maybe his play. I don't know if merited is the right word, but given all the sort of hype and sort of praise he got, you might have thought they would have got more wins. But they're obviously delighted with him. He certainly passes the eye test. So I think they're kind of building from a position of strength. And it's a running joke around our way that every single year, the Chargers are going to be touted as the sort of the divisional winners, and they very rarely get that close. But maybe this year they will emerge from the pack as the closest to us. How do you see your prospects for this season coming? Obviously, you seem like perennial Super Bowl contenders at this point in the window with Mahomes, who people are chalking up as the future best player who ever lived. At this point, are you buying into that sort of narrative right now, or is it just a kind of wait and see what happens sort of thing?
It's tough to do it without sounding arrogant, but I think if we don't win the division, then it has to be. It's disappointing. There's 2 factors in that. Like the division hasn't been that strong over the last few years, so kind of the competition is maybe not there. And I think Patrick Mahomes puts us a step ahead of everyone, at least in the division, if not in the whole conference. So I think that the bar is set pretty high, and I think that's justifiable as well. Last year, we've played in 3 home championship games, which only the Eagles have done before. And then the Super Bowl happened in this year, and it's a genuine disappointment that we didn't win a Super Bowl, and there's not many teams that can say that.
No, your team is super strong. Just to interrupt us with the Vegas pick, just because it pertains to your division, I've built a consensus board, which is just the 4 biggest organisations and their top
100 or 300.
You're talking
And
Malcolm Kuntz.
The Vegas have just picked Malcolm Kuntz, an
And
edge
Job.
from Buffalo, and
And
he was
Job.
not on my board.
And they've picked your boy,
And
Ryan.
Divine Diablo at 80.
Bastards.
Now that's a better pick, Divine Diablo, but Malcolm Kuntz, really?
A name I recognise.
Without trying to sound like that woman from Big Brother who died recently, who is he? Like, who is he?
It's just come up as been the worst value of any pick in this draft so far.
Well, he's not in the top 300 picks, and he's been picked at 79.
Do the Raiders not have some sort of external draft guru guy in as well? I think to help them.
I think they should they try to prove to everyone how smart they are, and I think it's this mentality that they know better than anyone else. It's classic, like Gruden, isn't it?
It's not that one. Was it not? God, I'm going to get this wrong. It was who's the GM? Is Mayock not the
Mayock, yeah.
I mean, he was the expert on the NFL Network, the draft expert.
Hunter Long's gone.
Not
Yeah.
that long ago.
And is there a big Chiefs fans community in the UK?
It's growing, yeah, definitely.
Where were you based?
Well, I'm in Edinburgh. I mean, I can't take the credit for too much of what Arrowhead Abroad is. Another guy, Tom Childs, started it sort of 7 or 8 years ago. He's passed it on to kind of a few other folk at the moment. But yeah, I mean, when the world goes back to normal, we'll get back to having sort of meetups. Same as I guess you guys will have to do. I don't know. Depends what the world lets us do this year.
We've not actually met one another yet. We've been going 8 months and we've never met.
Yeah, well, that's. I've met one of the guys that does our podcast. I met Neil. I've not met the other two guys. And when we went over to Miami for the Super Bowl, I think 3 or 4 of us met in the airport for the very first time. We've been in a WhatsApp group for a couple of years.
Have you been to any of the NFL Scotland meetups?
Yes, I have a couple. The pub that they do it in is not far from me. It's a really good pub as well, perfect for sport. So quite happy to go along to the meetups. Yeah, no, they're usually really good events because I think the first time I went along, I think they had all 32 teams there.
Yeah,
which is really good. Yeah, really encouraging.
Yeah, so I write because I'm in West Lothian, so I write for NFL Scotland, but I cover the NFC North.
Right.
But there's a lot of coverage on the AFC West, obviously. And Charlotte, who writes for, she covers the AFC West. She's a big Raiders fan. But yeah, there's plenty of coverage on the Chiefs on NFL Scotland, and I don't know if you listen to the podcast, but that's kind of like growing as well.
Yeah, I mean, working from home is kind of cut into my podcast time. I have to admit, I wouldn't tell my boss that, but there's a lot less headphones time. Yeah, no, it's really good. I mean, up here we've got I could kind of think half a dozen guys that we go on to meetups from Scotland.
Mm-hmm.
Again, this is going to sound like a bit of an arsey story, but we were wandering down in Miami. We were wandering down the beachfront. I had a kilt on, and there was another guy with a kilt on in front of us, walking towards us, and that was one of our members. Again, that we'd never met in person. He'd never managed to get along to meet up. He'd gone over from Aberdeen, so it's a small world. But yeah, I think we're certainly a growing fan base. Like Tom that started the group's done so much hard work to kind of get traction in the group and make connections with sort of Kansas City community, which I think is probably where we've been most successful.
That's good. Yeah, we let Matt do all the hard work.
Muggins over here. Just before we let you go, is there anything on the draft so far that's kind of really stuck out to you as something noticeable, something odd, or I don't know, you didn't expect something to happen. Just because I think a lot of things here are not going as people would expect, and given COVID and whatever, that's to be expected. But anything at all that you think is like, wow, I didn't expect that.
I guess particularly from sort of the Chiefs' perspective, we obviously had our sort of Super Bowl meltdown, if you like, and the O line's been was always needing completely redone, and all the mock stuff that we heard was how deep this O line class was, the tackle class. Don't know what it was like for you guys, but we got quite into the weeds on arm length and whether or not the last eighth of an inch mattered. For your left tackle, and I guess was kind of expecting them to go flying off the board round one. That's certainly what a lot of the mock simulators that we used were suggesting. Wide receivers as well. There was, when we were picking there around 50s and 60s, there was a lot of good guys there. I think because maybe there was a style receiver. I think a lot of the sort of short, faster guys went off the board quicker, which was maybe not what we were in the market for. But yeah, I mean, I think yesterday I didn't particularly enjoy. I watched the first half of the draft yesterday. I didn't particularly enjoy it. It didn't have any of the character that yesterday had, that sort of last year had.
No.
And I think there wasn't really, once San Francisco made the pick that everyone expected them to, it was kind of lacking in drama, I think, a little bit. Today was more fun. I mean, trades going all over the place. I love it when the old guys come out to announce the picks, because there's always a couple of wild cards.
Yeah.
So today's been more fun. I guess it kind of just needs everything to kind of shake out to see exactly kind of what everyone's left with and who's looking for jobs, I guess, next week, because there could still be some good players knocking about without contracts next week, so it could be interesting still.
So you're looking ahead to a tackle, are you, in your next few picks?
No, that's the O-line sorted now, I would imagine. Our kind of positions needs are now receiver, edge rusher, and potentially corner. I'd be surprised if there's anything outside of that. But then our GM has a habit of zigging when everyone else zags, or everyone wants them to zag, and they do their own thing. So I wouldn't be confident putting any money on what he's going to do, but it'd be edge or wide receiver for me, I think.
Okay. Any last questions, boys, before we let Duncan go? No?
No, thank you.
All right, fantastic. Thank you very much for your time, Duncan. It's been terrific.
That's no worries. Thanks very much.
Good to meet you.
Good night. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Good to meet you.
Draft.
Speak
Take care.
soon. Cheers.
Yeah.